Hey guys, this is LoudsCast with TGN.TV, and today guys we're doing Enhancing My Shaman Play Episode 5. Hell yeah, I know it's been a little while guys since I've done a video on my Shaman due to being busy on my main, on my warrior. However guys, it has finally arrived. I'm going to be doing a stat guide for Enhancement Shamans, and I'm going to be going through a few of my glyph choices. Okay, if we go into our summaries here, let's go view summaries, right. We look at the enhancement stuff that you get: dual wield, mental quickness, primal weapon, and mastery. Now, mental quickness, that's a really important thing to note. Increases your spell power by an amount equal to 50% of your attack power, and reduces the mana cost of your instant beneficial, damaging, and total spells by 75%. So that's going to be really important to know, and I will explain why in a minute. Okay, so we're looking at stats here, guys. Now, one of the most important stats that you want to prioritize on your character is your agility. Now the reason why for this is essentially because your agility is going to do three things in total. It's going to increase your attack power, it's going to increase your critical strike, and due to that mental quickness we just mentioned, that means that your spell power is going to be increased by your attack power as well. So in effect, the more agility you have, the more attack power you'll get, and the more spell power you will have as well. So that pretty much puts agility to the top of the tree in terms of prioritizing stats. So when you're looking to do like gems and all that kind of good stuff, you want to get as many agility gems as possible. Your red gems, for example, just trying to find one. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. We shift right click this. These little babies here, delicate inferno rubies, plus 40 agility, a very nice gem to have. The next other gem you want to be getting is this one, the Adept Ember Topaz, which is plus 20 agility and plus 20 mastery rating. Now those are the two ways that we can, in effect, get our gems for agility. So really important. Now the next two things that you want to try to stat prioritize once you've got your agility are your hit and expertise. These are really important because we do a mix of melee and spell damage. You want to try and get your hit capped and your expertise capped. So if we have a look here, expertise cap is 26. And that will remove the dodge chance completely. Don't worry about parry chance because we're going to be behind the target. You should always be behind the target, so you don't need to worry about the hard cap there of level 88, and that is pretty hard to get. I wouldn't even bother trying. When it comes to hits, however, because half of our damage is spells, what you want to be aiming for is 17% hits, so that your spells will never miss. So hit and expertise are really important, because if you miss an attack, you're not going to do damage on a target. It really is that simple. So hit and expertise are really important. Then what about when it comes to things like mastery, crit, and haste? Well, if I go back into our summary here, what does our mastery do exactly? Enhanced elements. Increases all fire, frost, and nature damage done by 47%. Each point of mastery increased damage by an additional 2.5%. That is really good. So essentially, like I said, half of our damage is spell damage. You're always going to have your flame shock on your target. You're going to be using your maelstrom lightning bolts, and you're going to be using your earth shocks as well. And of course, they're going to be with the Unleash Elements buff in there as well. So our mastery is actually really good. Now, it's worth prioritizing your mastery over your crit. So you want to go, once you've got your agility as up as possible, once you've got your hit and expertise cap, the next thing you want to be looking to doing is getting as much mastery as possible. Now, the stat you want to be removing from gear in your reforging and everything to get as much mastery as possible is your haste. Why is haste such a bad stat for Enhancement Shamans? Well, essentially, guys, you've got things like, you've got your Hidden Wind Fury cooldown, you've got stuff like that, and it just makes more sense. You'll do more damage, more DPS by having more mastery than haste. It's just the way it works now, because your spell damage has got that damn good as an Enhancement Shaman. I would prioritize mastery over haste. What about crit? Why don't we get more crit over mastery? Because our crit, essentially, every time you want to try and do a crit, you're rolling a dice. So at the minute, my crits are like 20%, so I've got a 1 in 5 chance thereabouts of critting. It's going to go up a bit with buffs and that sort of thing. Your mastery, point for point, is actually going to work out better, and you're going to do more damage than upping your crit. It just works out a lot more beneficial. I've tested this out. I'm not just making this up, I have tested this out. I've gone all my gems crit, all my reforging crit. For example, I managed to get my crit up to about 28%, I think I did, and I was losing DPS in total. I don't know why that's saying 458 there in the corner, by the way. It's because I was doing some little tests earlier and all that kind of good stuff. Just ignore that for now. Right, okay, I don't know why I felt the need to mention that. I thought someone would be like, oh my god, he's only doing 458 DPS? No, I think it was a totem hitting something. Or something like that. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. So yes, mastery, really important. Crit is still quite important as well though, and the reason why is because you want to be having flurry procs. Flurry is a talent that you are going to take. If I just go into view talent trees here, flurry should be around, there we go. Increases your attack speed by 30% for your next 3 swings after dealing a critical strike. So you don't want to rule crit out entirely. If you've got haste on something, reforge it to mastery. It really is that simple. Leave crit alone on your gear. If you have just got like crit and you're thinking, well, should I reforge this to mastery, should I leave it? Reforge it to mastery. Leave everything else though as crit, if that makes sense. So what I'm trying to say there essentially, guys, is if it's haste, reforge it to mastery. If it's crit, reforge it to mastery, but you still do want some crit. Haste is a really bad stat. Okay, so I'm just going to recap on what I've been saying here. Essentially, right, okay. So first thing is agility. As many agility gems as you can get. Wherever you can put agility into a socket, you want to be putting that agility in the socket. The one you're going to have trouble with is your blue gem slots. However, you can put this baby in a glinting demon's eye, which is plus 20 agility and plus 20 hit rating. And that's going to give you some agility. Some people argue that you shouldn't be putting hit rating gems in. The hit cap is hard to hit, is 17%, so you may as well get these gems in blue slots. What about your meta? That's the other thing that a couple of people do ask me. You want this one, the Agile Shadow Spirit Diamond, plus 54 agility and 3% increased critical strike damage. Very, very nice. Yes, so it's agility, hit and expertise, mastery, crit, and then haste. You want as little haste as possible. And I hope that has explained entirely the reasons why you would stat prioritize like that. Okay, let's go to glyph choices now. Yes, I want to reset data. Okay, right, N, glyphs. Okay, quite a few choices and options here, and it all just get a bit mind-boggling. It does with an Enhancement Shaman, because you're doing melee damage, you're doing spell damage, you're doing pet damage, all the rest of it, and it just gets really confusing as to what stat prioritize I've found. So anyway, I checked out a lot of written guides, all that kind of stuff, tested a lot of stuff myself on Mr. Training Dummy and Dungeons. We saw me doing 3 DPS rundowns and all the rest of it. Okay, anyway, prime glyphs, what you want to be taking. This one is a must. Glyph of First Spirit. Your spirit walls gain an additional 30% of your attack power. So if you're going to be doing stuff like raiding, you're going to be doing stuff like heroics, this is a really good ability for your burn phase on a boss. You should always be popping Feral Spirits anyway when it's off cooldown. So it's a really, 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 really useful glyph to have, and it's very, very good. Okay, the next one we've got here in the prime glyphs is Glyph of Lava Lash. Increases the damage dealt by your Lava Lash ability by 20%. Now that's really good, especially when we get 5 stacks of Searing Flames on our target as well. Your Lava Lash is going to crit and hit really, really hard. So that glyph is well worth taking. Now, the third one, and this is the one where there's a bit of debate and a bit of discussion over, is what to put it as this third prime glyph. At the minute I've got Glyph of Storm Strike in there, and the reason why, guys, is because if we read it, increase the critical strike chance bonus from your Storm Strike ability by an additional 10%. So when I Storm Strike, my Lightning Bolt, my Earth Shock have an additional 10% chance to crit. For the amount of mastery we're taking, that's really, really good. Don't see any issues sort of there. I mean, there are options. You can go for Glyph of Flame Shot, increase the duration of your Flame Shot by 50%. So you do keep that dot on the target for an additional half of the time, essentially. However, I find that when I'm doing my rotation and everything, I can always put a second Flame Shock on about 2 or 3 seconds before it is about to go off. So there's no real need for that. It fits in quite nicely with Unleash Elements and then Flame Shock on the rotation front. So those are your prime glyphs. Try out Flame Shock though. Give it a go. If you're struggling to keep your dot up, replace your Storm Strike with your Flame Shock. Until you get used to keeping Flame Shock dots up on a target, and then you can switch it to Glyph of Storm Strike. The other additional one we've got here is the Glyph of Win-Free Weapon. Now, I had a bit of a play with this as well. Increase the chance per swing for Win-Free Weapons trigger by 2%. In the grand scheme of things, 2% is not an awful lot. Wind Fury does actually have its own cooldown as well. Not really worth it. I did test this out. I lost about 1k DPS with this glyph over the Glyph of Storm Strike. So tested it out. Not really all that beneficial. Give it a go though. It might be my character build or whatever. give it a try. You've got to test these things yourself. These guides are all fine and good to watch and everything to get a general idea of, but give it a go yourself on the training dummy and some heroics. But personally, Glyph of Stormstrike, in my opinion, is better. And the other choice we have here is Glyph of Shocking. Reduce the global cooldown triggered by your shock spells to 1 second. I don't really understand this glyph. I put it on to test and everything, and it didn't really seem to do an awful lot, and I lost some DPS. That's the really short version. So yeah, I wouldn't really bother with that. So anyway, that's the prime glyphs there. Let's now go into the major glyphs here. This one's really important. Glyph of Lightning Shield. Your Lightning Shield can no longer drop below 3 charges from dealing damage to attackers. Really useful. It means that you don't have to refresh your Lightning Shield. It will just stay on until the cooldown obviously is gone off it. So that's really good. It just means you've got one less thing to worry about. Glyph of Fire Nova. Increases the radius of your Fire Nova spell by 5 yards. If you're dealing with loads of adds, and I do mean like lots and lots of adds, like in Zul'Gurub, all those snakes that spawn and stuff like that. Really good. You're just getting extra AoE damage down. So that is well worth taking for AoE damage. And Glyph of Chain Lightning. Your Chain Lightning spell now strikes 2 additional targets but deals 10% less initial damage. Again, if you're facing lots of adds in an heroic or a raider situation or something like that, this is awesome for AoE. A Maelstrom Chain Lightning, which has this glyph, just hits harder. So it's well worth taking. Now, there is possibly some other options here in your mages to take, but I can't really spot anything that would be all that awesome. This is the thing, they're so varied here. Shamanistic Rage, possibly, but no. Hex, reduce the cooldown, not that useful. Once you've got 1 CC off, it's fine, and anyway, your CC is going to be an instant, because it should be a Maelstrom. Glyph of Stoneclaw, Glyph of Thunder. No, there isn't really anything here that I would have at level 85. If I was leveling up, possibly Totemic Recall to get some mana back. Possibly Gift of Ghost Wolf just for a bit of extra speed to travel, but I see that's more of a PvP glyph. So there's not really many options there other than the ones I have discussed. I have had a look through these and I was just thinking, there's just a lack of major glyphs for an Enhancement Shaman to take other than those 3 really. Okay, now we get down to the minimums, the minor glyphs here. Glyph of Renewed Life. Your reincarnation spell no longer requires a regen. That's a no-brainer. Every Enhancement Shaman, every Shaman should have this glyph. Simply because you don't require a regen and you can always pop reincarnation to essentially give you a second life. Well worth taking, it's a must essentially. Okay, Glyph of Waterwalking. The Waterwalking spell no longer requires a regen. Let's see what they did there. Yeah, again, really useful for some dungeons, like that little bit on Zul'Aman where you got to go across the water. You haven't got a Death Knight in your party. Give everyone Waterwalking, speed up, do your time run a little bit quicker, all that kind of thing. Only use I've really found for it, but it's got to fill a slot at the end of the day. And the last one I've got in there is Glyph of Astral Recall. Reduce the cooldown on your Astral Recall spell by 7.5 minutes. I think I've had this for since glyphs came out. I think if it was going on that long, it's good. Reduce the cooldown of your Astral Recall spell by 7.5 minutes, which means we get essentially 2 half stones, and one of them is on a 7.5 minute cooldown, which is all good. So that's where we've taken. There's not really anything else in the minor glyphs I'll say other than water breathing, perhaps. Okay, so we covered glyphs and we covered stat priority in this video. Now, a few people are asking me like, well, why have you got no enchants on your weapons and stuff? Come on, stop slacking and all that sort of thing. I've done this guide now. I'm going to get enchants and I'm going to start to raid on this character, guys. And essentially, the next few episodes of this series will be me raiding, putting what I've learned for your guys' feedback, through what I've learned myself, into practice in a raid situation. So I shall be bringing you some raiding footage. That is the plans for this series as it continues on. We will then be doing some Shaman PvP, more than likely Enhancement, although I did try some Enhancement Arena. It didn't go so well. For those of you that were watching on the live stream will know what I'm talking about. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this guide. This has been LoudsCast with TGN.tv. If you're not already, subscribe to TGN WoW and check out my personal channel as well. I'll see you all next time. Bye.